Have you ever wanted to kick out your bass player but didn't know what to do with the low end of your band? Well, today we're going to be checking out an octave pedal that will add an extra octave underneath or above your guitar. So you might be able to finally cut ties with that pesky bass player. Today we're going to be checking out the Mooer Tender Octaver. Now it only has 3 parameters, so we'll probably be able to go through this pretty fast, but a quick overview of what an octave pedal is. Now there can be octave pedals where they only do lower octave, a higher octave. There's even pitch shifting pedals that will hit every note in between an octave. This one here, which is a little bit more common, only has 2 octaves. You can go an octave higher or an octave lower. This is a great budget option if you only need an octave below or an octave above. The most famous octave pedal is probably the POG, which is very similar to this, where it has an octave down or an octave up. If I remember correctly, it's about half the price of a POG. After looking at many other options, this seemed like the best option on a budget, in my opinion. This is a pedal that's hard to use subtly, so you probably are not going to be using it a lot unless your sound is defined by an octave pedal. And most of the time those bands are either just a guitar and drums, because they want to fill out the entire sound with an octave pedal. One issue that I see with a lot of budget octave pedals is that they don't accept multiple notes. It's only mono. You play multiple notes at once, like a chord, then it freaks out and it won't accept it. The reason I went with this one is because it is pretty good at accepting full chords, and it also tracks very well. That's another problem with a lot of budget octave pedals, is they don't track well, meaning the note that it's adding, either up or above, is slightly off from the original note. So there's almost like a slight delay, almost kind of like a latency that you would get from recording. This one tracks very well, I can report. But other than that, we just have a simple on and off. We have our sub, which is our lower octave, and our upper, which is our upper octave. And this last knob here is the dry knob, which allows you to add more or less of your original signal. In an extreme situation, if you had the octave and sub all the way up, it kind of will cut the mids, because that's what the original note on a guitar is, usually very mid-heavy. As you take your original guitar signal out, it's going to be more just the sub and upper octave, and then you can slowly bring in the original note. Fairly simple setup today. We got our Simplifer amp here, set to American, so kind of simulating a Fender Deluxe Reverb. I have everything kind of in the middle, 4x12 cab sim, and this is kind of just like a pretty good clean sound that I like to start with, and it's going directly into my audio interface. One additional thing is I have a stereo effects loop where I'm running a room reverb, just to give us a little more of a natural sound instead of that direct sound that can be unpleasant, in my opinion. Also, I have my MXR Super Badass Fuzz that we will listen to later, because I think an octave into a fuzz is just an incredible sound, and it fills out so much where you really don't need many other instruments, and you can just have a beat behind it and it sounds super full. So let's go ahead and listen to our clean signal with just running into the Simplifer with some reverb. Sounds like an organ when you're playing full chords. Pretty cool sound, and that's a great place to start if you're going for full chords and just putting everything at new. A great Let's mess with this dry here and take that out. You can hear we've lost some of the mids because it's taking away the initial guitar signal. Now I can bring that back. Now, one thing I really like to use this for is when I'm doing live looping and I want to have a bass sound, but I don't want to switch instruments, grab my bass, and then plug in and add a bass part. This is a great option for that. And if you want to hear more of what that would be like with a live looping scenario, I have 2 videos of me using this with a live looping setup, and I'll put those videos up here in the description. Let's go ahead and get a bass sound. I'm going to turn the upper all the way off so it goes all the way to 0, so you will not hear it at all. So even if I have this pedal on, if I have both of them all the way 0. That volume cut because it's letting all of the dry signal through. So let's go ahead and add in the upper. Alright, let's get rid of the sub and just bring in the upper here. Alright, now let's add some fuzz. Everything at noon. By the way, I was on rhythm pickup for most of that. Now we'll hear it on the treble pickup. So those are just single notes, but having the extra octaves on there just fills it out so much that you can get away with just playing. Now for full chords with distortion or fuzz, it kind of falls apart a little bit. So I wouldn't use it too much with power chords, especially if you want to do a lot of tighter palm muting. But here's how it sounds. Didn't sound too bad there, but if we go lower, it starts the sub octave is going to start to kind of lose track a little bit. You can hear those palm mutes really not probably as loose as it can get. Now if I bring more of that in and turn that down here, let's see if we can still. Better. Here's with it off. Not something I would typically do. If I was going to use chords with a fuzz, I would probably go for that really slushy, kind of doomy sound. Probably use those same. All right, let's go in order here, see how it sounds. So that's the tenor octave. Super simple, but definitely nice to have. If you like the MXR Fuzz, I have another video going into depth on that pedal, so I'll leave that in the description for you to check out. Other than that, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.